New Corsica will never be the same. Without French naval support, the island was left to its fate. Former French bunkers and positions were torched, and the light from the flames engulfing the island could be seen from Natuna. The French defeat at New Corsica and Natuna has created new diplomatic talks in Europe between the greater powers. American spies have noticed an increase in German diplomatic activity in Paris, and there are rumors regarding a German military intervention in the Pacific. The Colonial Battalion of the United States Marine Corps, formed in 1902, was disbanded after the Battle of New Corsica, and the remaining soldiers were drafted into other Marine regiments and battalions. Other Marine Corps brigades and regiments have over the past couple of days arrived to the Pacific in preparation for the next stage of the war. After the successful but costly battles of Natuna and New Corsica, US military commanders set their eyes on French Indochina. An invasion plan was carefully but swiftly made. What is up, guys? Diplex here again. Welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2 and of course our very own Battle of Natuna series. We have made it to French Indochina. The 4th Marine Regiment, known as the China Marines, previously stationed in China, have now been tasked with taking this beach outside Natuna, which is, it was quite a large, or like an important city on the southeast coast of French Indochina at the time. It had a few administrative buildings concerning this province. And do excuse the US Navy right now, they're shaking up the beach here ahead of the landing. It is so awesome. This map is made by GEObLAKE. I hope I've pronounced this name right. Otherwise, of course, there's going to be a little mention in the description box below. Fantastic work. So happy to have someone sort of sponsoring this series, and this is really allowing me to make more episodes. So the 4th Marines are on their way. You saw them previously during the intro. I'm right now taking things to a new level in terms of historical accuracy when it comes to units and sizes and whatnot of all the different fighting formations. This is the 1st company landing right now. We're gonna have 2 full battalions landing, so there's like 600 men landing here today. Of course, sizes do vary, but at this time, I do believe the infantry formations were slightly smaller. Actually, I might confuse that with modern standards, because right now you have like 3 rifle companies and a weapons company per Marine battalion, and as well as a headquarter company and all that stuff. So there's obviously more to it, but we're only going to focus on the rifle companies here during this fight. So the 1st company has now landed on the beach. The boats are returning back as soon as they've dropped off their infantry. That's something that I'm pleased with it. We haven't done it before, but I think it looks great. I think it looks awesome. So why not do it? Look at the Marines making their way up the beach. I wonder how much damage the Navy bombardment did prior to the assault. I think they killed a few, or destroyed a few French positions here by the head of the beach. Oh, there are a lot of entrenched Frenchmen over here. We see a few fallen by the sandbags. It is a really deep defense, so the Marines are going to have to get really far in. The 2nd load of Marines are now making their way to the beach. Mortars are landing. It is just absolutely insane. This is so awesome. We got Marines moving up here on the left flank. We have a high ground here with some fenced-off defenses. Here's an officer with a pistol. I believe that is a Ruby pistol. We have a machine gunner up here in the bunker. That's awesome. This is a really cool defense. All right, Marines. I think they're starting to really put some work in here on the left side. And we're rushing up the center, too. We're still on the beach. We need to get to the vegetation. We need to get to the next set of cover. We can't be out here on the beach. We're going to take a lot of casualties out here in the open. And we're being shelled right now by French artillery. This is absolutely insane. So we're in Natuna, and south here is Camran. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It is actually historically, at the time, a big French naval base. It was probably the biggest one in South French Indochina. And to the north, near Hanoi, you have Hai Phong, or Hai Phong, or something like that. I think it's Hai Phong, or Phong. And that was their biggest naval base at the time in the region. So, two really important historical places, of which one we are actually currently nearby right now. The Marines obviously need to knock out the defense. Look how beautiful this beach is. Look at all this sort of smoke. And we have Marines right now up here on the left high ground. They are really making some progress. Right now they're clearing out the various positions here where there are French infantrymen. Move up, Marines! Look at all the bullets landing here. You can hear all the impacts. It's absolutely insane. Mortars landing close too. And a new load of Marines have been landing on the beach. We're soon looking at both battalions. The whole regiment is being landed here. It's absolutely insane. And if we fail to take this beach, most of these men will be taken prisoners, and it will be a disaster for the US Marine Corps. But they have to do it. So, Part 5 is actually occurring at the same time as Part 6, but I will explain more in Part 6 and show you a map of the current operations. I wanted to keep this intro a little bit shorter. Next one is going to be very informative regarding to the operation of taking French Indochina. I want everyone in the comment section down below to let me know what you think that operation should be called. It is basically the US Marine Corps and the Philippine Division, which contained two or three infantry regiments and one artillery regiment, I do believe. Them and the 2nd Marine Brigade, which has the 6th Marine Regiment, the 10th Marine Artillery Regiment, and now the 4th Marine Regiment. But the 4th Marine Regiment was not officially part of the 2nd Brigade. It was only attached to the 2nd Brigade at this time. So they are acting alone here in Natuna, much further south of Hanoi, which is the other target for the 2nd Brigade. So this is a big invasion. All right, we're finally really starting to get some manpower up the beach now. Was that the last wave? I don't think so. I think that was that's the first wave part of the 2nd Battalion here. This is just absolutely insane. How are we doing here on the left side? Well, we've cleared out this hill. Look at this beautiful waterfall back here. We have a brave officer crawling up ahead of his troops. I wonder how long he will last. He's got that Colt 45, that 1911. Oh, it's gonna be shot dead. No retreat. So basically, after the defeat on Natuna, or New Corsica and Natuna, the very few soldiers who retreated are probably going to be court-martialed. They retreated because they practically could, because the Marines arrived to reinforce as sort of an emergency attempt to hold the island. It was a very makeshift plan, and it was a brave attempt, but it didn't quite succeed. But it cost the Allies more casualties. Look at all the Marines spreading throughout the forest here. This is such a huge battle. It's amazing. Oh, I think we got. Are those more Navy 155s? I think we got a destroyer and a cruiser out here supporting this landing. The rest of the US Navy is actually near Hanoi, blocking the harbor in Hai... I need to find out exactly what it is so that I'm not going to continue saying the wrong thing. Hai Phong. Hai Phong, yes. That's what it is. Sort of a harbor city. And at the time, it was the largest French colonial sort of naval base in the area. So that's really cool. I'm just really digging that we can make things more historically accurate. Oh, that artillery is just coming down heavily now. But we're starting to take this beach now. We have so many Marines everywhere. I wonder what could stop the US Marines this time around. What could really stop them? The French, historically, down in this area is... this area would be defended by the 11th Infantry Regiment. I'm going to talk way more about this because I did hours of research yesterday in terms of the units here historically. But the French division in charge of the defense of the French Indochina at the time was the Division du Tonkin, with the Tonkin, the Tonkin division essentially, based on the province name of the province in Hanoi, or the province that had the French Indochina capital of Hanoi in it. So that's in North Vietnam, right? It had the brigade, the Hanoi brigade, the some other name I can't remember right now, and then of course it had the Saigon brigade. And the Saigon brigade had the 11th Infantry Regiment, the Hanoi Brigade had the 9th Infantry Regiment, and then you had the 10th Infantry Regiment, Colonial Infantry Regiment that is, closer to Hai Phong, the harbor. So there were 2 infantry regiments to the north, and you had the 11th down here to the south. The 11th Regiment sent 1 battalion to Natuna, with 2 companies to the island of Natuna and 2 companies to New Corsica. We saw that. The remaining battalion, which would be the 2nd Battalion, was left in Saigon, and they actually had a military citadel 10 kilometers west of Nha Trang, which is just 1 nautical mile, or 10 kilometers away from this area. So historically, they would be here defending with about a company or 2. And I think the US are starting to really establish this position right now. It's looking pretty good for them, but I think the French are still holding. They're close to taking this beachhead. There are more French soldiers back here. Yeah, there's plenty. So we have more French troops coming in from the left flank. This battle is far from over, and there's a mortar here that has not been cleared out. And this trench is actually far from cleared. So the Americans have a lot more on their hands than I think they immediately thought. They punched through the center quite severely. We see a lot of muzzle flashes, which is primarily American firepower here from the center. So they've really moved away from the beach, which is good for them. Oh no. Oh no, French tanks rushed here in order to help them defend the beach, or what's left of it. They've lost most of their beach positions right now, but these tanks will help the infantry possibly fight back the American assault. I wonder what I don't think the Americans anticipated there being any armor here. Reconnaissance photos or aerial photos probably ruled that out, except they were wrong. So 2 Renault R35s have made it up here. But the Americans, if they get close enough, they could probably throw explosives at it, which I know they can, but I wonder if they have a brave enough Marine here to do that. Because right now there's also a lot of infantry nearby, and it doesn't look too good for them. Yeah, they're still calling the shots from here to on the right side. We have an officer spotting U.S. troops, and right now they're under a lot of pressure. We can see some pulling back, and they're starting to get really suppressed. They're not exposing themselves as bravely as they previously did now that they are under tank fire. What choices do they have? What choices? Can they radio into Navy to maybe provide more direct support? Or do they need to arrange an evacuation here? What would they do? It's hard to evacuate off of this beach. Those landing crafts aren't especially really made for evacuation, but and you'd preferably evacuate from a port or harbor, not a beach. But obviously, it's all important, or it's all possible. But that really makes me worried, that the fact that there are 2 Renault R35 tanks that just arrived here in the nick of time for the French. They were just about to lose their final trench. But their commanding officer is still alive and well, and he's still calling the shots here from the left side. And those tanks are here, my friends. I think this is going to turn out to be a disastrous moment for the 4th Marine Regiment here. And this could really change things down here in the south of French Indochina. What they were sent here to establish to capture the naval base in Cam Ranh, I think, yes. where they could then land more infantry regiments and vehicles in order to lay siege to Saigon, which is to the west, and also to prevent the remaining troops from the 11th to make their way north to prevent the remaining American 2nd United States Marine Corps Brigade from taking the city of Hanoi, or at least laying siege to it. This is a really dire moment, my friends. French tanks and infantry have started a counterattack. They're looking to push the Americans back to the beach, and it's working. They were too close to be targeted by French artillery, but the French tanks are really pushing the Marines back, and that is going to put them back in the French fire zone. The artillery has this beach all zeroed in, and all they have to do is start firing again, and I think momentarily now we'll see some big French howitzers finish off the rest of the US Marines here. This is a disastrous attack indeed. They really did underestimate the French after their victory on Natuna and New Corsica. And the French are showing no mercy. They're not giving the Marines a second to breathe here. And I don't think they'll accept the surrender. Much like the Marines did not on New Corsica, which was also somewhat of a controversial slaughter. It does look like the Marines are pushing back. The ones who are willing to drop their weapons and surrender will probably be spared. But it doesn't look like they're aiming to do that right now. Many are probably wondering where the hell the reinforcements are, but there aren't anyone coming here right now. The rest of the force has been sent north to attack a more important target. And one could say, perhaps they're asking themselves if they've all just been considered a decoy. Tragic day indeed for the 4th Marine Regiment and its survivors. But thank you for watching part 5. I'm very interested to see where this war goes next, and I'm looking for your suggestions and ideas. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in part 6.